Hi, I'm your host, Barbie Romero, Director of Event Programming at MediaPost. Welcome to our Brand Insider Series, Backstage Exclusive. This is your chance to ask our past brand insiders what's on your mind. Today, our spotlight is on Kim Tipton, Senior Social Media Manager from Kimberly-Clark. Welcome, Kim.
Hi. Thanks for having me, Barbie.
Yeah, so great to see you here. And you have a lot of followers on social media. We got a lot of questions for you. So are you ready for the first one?
I guess so. I didn't even check the post, so I guess so. I'm
So,
ready.
so yeah,
Hit
like a
me.
lot of questions are on your background. One of them is about balancing trending content with evergreen messaging on socials. How do you do that? How do you go after the trends and you're like, well, I also need to get my messaging out for the brand that you work on.
Totally, totally. And so this is like taking a step back. I know everyone's talking trending content, trending content. I actually just answered a question for Media Post about trending content. And you definitely need a balance of both. And what you're going to do in terms of what you put out on social and digital is going to definitely depend on who and what your brand is, right?
Mhm.
So you can't just jump on every trend. Everybody is hyper aware. I call it like the like not metaverse, like metaverse, but like we're in like this metaverse of people understand that they're being advertised to.
Mhm.
They especially understand they're being advertised to and trying to get a reaction out of on social media. So you have to be very keen and smart because Gen Z, Gen Alpha reward smart marketing. They definitely do. I mean, it is what it is. I also, as a marketer, reward smart marketing. So it's less about like, how can I dupe the consumer into thinking like I'm hello, fellow kids? It's more like, how do I do smart marketing that's aligned with my brand, with the story we hope to tell? And hopefully some people will really like it. So the way that
Mhm.
I typically work is we take a far, far step back and say, like, hey, who are we as a brand? I understand that from like my brand partner counterparts, who we want to be aspirationally on social, who are some favorite brands that we see on social. How do we get there? How do we engineer this formula so that everything we do with our evergreen content and trending content speaks to what the brand is trying to accomplish? And you don't just look like a trend chaser because no one likes a trend chaser.
Yeah, yeah, no one does, and consumers can tell right away. Some brands have gotten backlash on that, so that's great advice. So a lot of brands, they work in the commodity space. What are some best ways to spark conversation without feeling forced? Trying to be authentic, like you said. How do you do that?
Yeah, I think it's really, again, I'm going to harp on this point, understanding what the job to be done is. So obviously, say you're selling shampoo, right? Like, what's your job to be done? What does your brand stand for? Yeah, you're trying to sell shampoo, but really the strongest brands that are memorable on the top of our heads, Nike, Coca-Cola, Apple, Adidas, think about million streetwear brands, Bathing Ape, Supreme, Bear Brick, all these brands, they like are trying to do something. Obviously, you're trying to make you purchase their product.
Mhm.
No one is out here marketing for not to get consumers to purchase their product, but they're also trying to tell a story. Their brand has an ethos. It has a reason to be. And then as such, when you have a reason to be, then you can distill down a job to be done. My favorite analogy I say it all the time is how are you positioning your product, especially a commodity, how are you positioning your product to be a painkiller? Because every a lot of people will align their product to like what I call the vitamin strategy. It's like, oh, this is nice to have. Yeah, but I don't have to take my vitamins if I don't want to. I can get my vitamins naturally going outside, eating food, whatever. I don't have to take vitamins if I don't want to. When I have a headache, what am I going to immediately do? I'm going to look for a painkiller, right?
Mhm.
So how do you make yourself a painkiller for your consumer and find their pain point and speak to that directly? And again, do that with like intention. Don't just go out and do it. Do
Yeah.
it that is laddered back to who you are as a brand, what you hope to accomplish. And I think that good marketing really just follows that formula, no matter what age it's in. Good marketing has always followed that formula.
Yeah, definitely. We can now move on to like the creator space. So, do you have advice on building authentic relationships with them?
Yes, absolutely. My mantra for 2026, it's been my mantra for a while, but my mantra for 2026 is let the creators create. It's hard when you're thinking about being the steward or the shepherd of your brand as an internal stakeholder and
Yeah.
passing all of that stewardship over to someone who you consider to be an external party. I challenge everyone to reframe their thinking. And when you engage a creator who is also taking their space, influencer, UGC, if they're just making a creator ad for you, that is their business as well. It is who they are. It is what they are building. So they are stewarding and shepherding your brand in the same way that you are, understanding that you're giving them that responsibility. So I would encourage you to stop looking at them as external parties who are like you're paying to get your message out. Look at them as collaborators. Look at them in the same way you look at any other contractor that's coming in and helping your business achieve an objective. I promise you, you will get way better creative if you let the creators create and also treat them like they are a part of your story that you're trying to tell, right?
Yeah.
And I think you can do that by just chatting with them. I think we found a lot of success in the brands I worked for at KC with just letting them be creative and also just like, hey, this is a great concept. We really love this. Like you're crushing it. You know, letting these human beings, which is at the bottom line, the foundation, letting these human beings know that, hey, we too are human beings and we see what you're doing. We're
Hmm.
rocking with it. We really like it. And you get the best creative that way when you're not hyper restrictive. You tell them, hey, maybe just don't do this, but let them, whatever else, let them do what is authentic to them. Because I can guarantee you, I could scroll on social media all day. I'm like a strategist and like I'm an analyst, so I'm just like looking at different trends. I'm not a creator, right? Not
Hmm.
in that sense. Creators are the subject matter experts when it comes to content and creative. So why would you try to restrict the subject matter expert in
Yeah.
their expertise when you're paying them for their subject matter expertise, right? We
Yeah.
wouldn't do that for someone we hire internally as like a contractor. So why are we doing that for creators? It's just a reframing of thinking.
Hmm.
And the worst thing, this is for all social media. On my second little tangent here is just delete it. I know I'm like oversimplifying, but like the worst thing is something goes live and you have to delete it.
Hmm.
Oh well, people will move on to the next thing. You
Yeah.
know, it's better to try to learn to go out there. Those are the brands that find success in the digital space. The ones that are willing to be risky and try new things. And I'm not saying go all the way left, right? Like
Hmm.
I'm looking at the Nutter Butters and the Duolingo of yore. No one's saying go all the way that way, but to just be risky. Try some new things. Be interesting. Be evocative. That's what people want to see. They don't want to see the sea of sameness. We get the same stuff all the time, every day in our social media feeds. Just be a little different, you know? And don't be afraid to try. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a side tangent, but
Yeah, that's all great advice. I love it. I love it. Yeah, someone we had a politics event. She actually mentioned creators are like small businesses and you should treat them like, a business at the end of the day. And yeah, that's all amazing. All right, so the next one is more about careers and what mistakes you see when people will make when trying to break into social media. And specifically they asked about social strategy roles. Do you see any mistakes out there that people should be avoiding?
yeah, I think it's less mistakes that you should be avoiding. Well, you know what? I'm gonna back it up. Two parts to that.
Mhm.
What you should do. Raise your hand and say yes for things that even seem silly. I started off in like financial services and employer brand. It wasn't sexy at all. But it taught me the foundations. I was writing a lot of Twitter posts.
Mm.
And my first ever social media like engagement was I was a social media assistant for a local elections office when I was in university. It was an internship and it was literally answering questions on a Facebook page. Now, what did that teach me? If you think about now, nearly 10 years on in my career, what did it teach me? It taught me about community management. It taught me about the power of these one-to-one or one-to-many connection can do for you in social media. It
Okay.
helped build foundations that seem so trivial when you see people doing like crazy campaigns and getting awards, Eppies, and all this kind of stuff. You have to get the foundations down first, especially when you're talking about a strategist. A strategist has to know a methodology, a discipline in and out. When you're going to be a subject matter expert, you must be the expert, right? You can't be an expert. You can't jump from novice to expert. You have to take the steps along the way. They're intermediate, there's advanced, and then you get to your expertise. And there are opportunities that are going to accelerate that expertise, but you have to be in the right position to be able to find them. So raise your hand, try things that you want to try. I've done a million freelance gigs. I've done a million like, hey, I'll do this for free. People that I knew had small businesses. I was like, hey, I'll put together a social media plan for you. I'll do audits. I am perpetually on social media
Mhm.
as a lurker, as a consumer to
Mhm.
understand. Funny enough, other than LinkedIn, I don't really post on social media at all because I'm always just learning
Yeah.
what there is to know. And subscribed to a million Substacks and all that, all that kind of stuff. But I think the key advice that I would have anyone looking to break into social strategies, just raise your hand for things, even if they don't seem relevant to what you eventually want to do. I promise
Mhm.
it will be. My mentor told me it's much better to be a T-shaped person than to be somebody who is like a line, like a L-shaped person, like a lowercase L. Because lowercase L is, that's all you got. You don't have anything, right? Like, or you have just one discipline. You can only really be engaged with one discipline, social strategy. But if you become a T-shaped person, you have your foundation that you've started on, right? Mine is social media, social strategy, but it's allowed me to break into experiential and digital and influencer and creator and all these different kind of things, paid social, because I have a very strong T shape. And I only got all of those things because I was like, I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do that. Even if it didn't work out. I think you never, if an opportunity doesn't work out, you always have an opportunity to learn something. What you should not do, what you should not do, is think that you need to be an influencer to be a strong social strategist. You don't. You don't. If you have good things to say and you want to put them out in the world, that's kind of my approach to LinkedIn. Cool. You might build a little bit of a following because you just are who you are. You don't need to be an influencer. Don't let anyone tell you that you need to be an influencer or creator or have made 8,000 viral hits to be a strong strategist. That's not true. It's just not. Virality is a formula that no one knows how to hack. Some things hit. I've got a couple of viral posts that I helped concept and I got things I'm like, oh, this is going to hit, and they did terrible. It is a Rubik's Cube of a discipline, which is the coolest thing about it for someone like me who doesn't, like, my job is never the same. It never has been the same from every job I've gone to. And especially now that I'm in this role, every day is a little bit different. So you have to be comfortable with knowing, like, you're not going to get it 100% right. You don't need to be this like giant, I have 800,000 followers on whatever, and also be very conscious of your social media presence. Just because you are a social media person doesn't mean you can go buck wild on social media and expect to be, in this elevated position. Some people have it, some people don't. I'm very candid on my social. I'm very candid at every job interview that I go to. I'm like, this is the package that you get. You're going to get it this way. And that will close opportunities for me. But that's a risk I'm willing to take. But if you go around all my social media, you'll see I have nothing. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing crazy out there. And I'm not saying don't express yourself, but be conscious that it's such a powerful tool that, like, with great power comes great responsibility. So, yeah.
Yeah. I have friends that do social media for businesses and they don't post their lurkers, basically, like you said. So,
Literally do not
I
post.
mean,
Except for I will like creep up on LinkedIn every now and again, be like, hey, I'm probably gonna creep up pretty soon after this to talk about something. But other than that, I post on my like close friends' Instagram stories
yeah.
because I don't know. I don't need the validity. I do it every day. So I don't need the validity from external parties, which a lot of times social media is, which is not bad at all. I mean, obviously I've made my career on it and I think it is the future. I think that the future CMOs and CEOs of companies are going to be started off as social media managers like me, because we just understand consumers and market research and all of these different things that go into making a robust marketing presence for the next generation of consumers. And we do so relentlessly every day. We've learned how to be so incredibly agile in this world where everything turns on the drop of a dime and suddenly, okay, we're on red note now. Wait, blue sky. Wait, do you guys remember Clubhouse? Like all these different kind of things that we have to be keen on and experts on, like, in a minute. I think it is just forged this next generation of extremely agile and sharp executives. But that's another story for another day. And yeah, you don't have to be an influencer. I don't want to be an influencer. I want to be a social media manager.
Yeah, well, that's the question at the end of the day. Like, how do you get this role? So then the other question they also had was advice on building a portfolios. Do you have any advice for that?
Yes. So I am very big on receipts. When you do something cool, write about it, even if it's to yourself. When I do something cool, I call my mom and say, oh my gosh, I did something cool. That makes me really excited. I tell her all about it, and then I take all of that and I distill it down into a place so I can go look at later. You don't constantly have to be uploading or updating your portfolio. I take about once a quarter, I take a look at my resume, I take a look at my portfolio. I just kind of keep things going, set a reminder in my phone because, spoiler alert, I have ADHD. If I do not put a reminder in my phone, it's going off into the races. I'm never going to think about it again. So I have a quarterly reminder for me to update my portfolio, update my resume, update my LinkedIn, make sure that it looks good. But weekly, I have a reminder that says, hey, if you did anything cool this week, just type that down. I have a Notion board that I created created where I just tap, 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 link to the post if the post is relevant. But even if it's just, hey, you came up with this cool new methodology, or this reporting structure got better, or hey, you like learned something new by working with a cross-functional partner, write all of those things down. I promise you'll see a thread of a story that will come to life. And then it becomes a lot easier to say like, oh, cool, I did that. Like, oh, wait, this is significant. And suddenly you didn't create a portfolio. The work you did is now your portfolio. I think it's less about engineering like this story and just like really focusing on doing really good, cool work in your capacity, finding ways like, if you want to get a little scientific about it, like the way that you're get your job description or your role and find ways that you're outsizing or outperforming that role and say like, yeah, I really did this, because my portfolio is going to look different than like a community manager. It's going to look different than like a social analyst, but all of us have really cool things I'm sure we're doing every single day
Mhm.
that can be elevated. So I would just document what you do. I think the biggest thing is that we don't keep receipts. We're just like going through our lives doing really cool things, not thinking it's cool because we're just doing them every day. Nah,
Mhm.
nah, nah, nah. Even little things.
Yeah.
I got through the week with 8 hours of meetings every day. That's an accomplishment, you know? I'm really bad at it myself. Imposter syndrome and these different kind of things that are like, should I talk about this? Should I talk about that? I'm trying to get better at it little by little, but even if it's one person that you find to celebrate with my
Yeah.
mom, I celebrate with my mom mostly, like I said. Just celebrate yourself. It becomes a
Mhm.
lot easier then to quantify your results, and then get you something cute. Like I have Squarespace for my portfolio. It's low maintenance. I pay for it once a year. They have drag and click. I don't have to be a coder. I just drag and click the little boxes,
Mhm.
write it down. And even if it's not the sexiest, even if it's not the most designed, put it out there in the world so that you can speak to it
Yeah.
and know it and share it with people, because it will get better. It will iterate better. If I could show you the iterations in my portfolio over the last like 8, 9 years, you'd be like, whoa.
Mhm.
And now it's like actually just really simple. It's words on the page talking about what I've done. And I think that's all it needs to be. So
Yeah.
don't be afraid to try. Just grab the things that you've done that are really cool, because I'm sure you've done some really cool things. Put them on a website. Show it around to people. Ask them for their feedback. Let them know if there could be any more clear in this way.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the gist of it.
Yeah. That's awesome advice. Also good for performance reviews. So that way
Yeah,
you remember what you
100%.
'cause when
Always.
that pops around, you're like, oh my gosh, what did I do
What did
the
I do?
what
See,
did
I
I do
never
last
have that
quarter?
problem.
So
I
maybe
never
that's
have that
how they're
problem.
gonna guide it. Yeah.
I
So
literally keep quite literally receipts, email screenshots,
yeah.
like posts, and then I'm like, perfect.
Mhm.
And so it makes performance reviews really easy.
Mhm.
Um, and it just makes you feel as well. I think even more than the performance reviews, which is great to be told by your job you're doing great. But when
Mhm.
you are going through a tough time and feeling like I'm not crushing it, like I'm doing bad, it gives you an archive to look back on and say, that's not true. It's an
Mhm.
isolated moment where I'm not doing my best, and that's okay, because a human being can't be 100% all the time. It's unreasonable. You cannot be 100% in your work life, 100% in your personal life, 100% in your mental health, 100%. You can't be 100% everywhere. It's
Mhm.
unreasonable. So if one day you're showing up at 50 or 30 or 10% to work, like give yourself the fuel, the motivation, which is a finite resource, to be able to say, no, 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 I was 90% that day and I
Mhm.
really crushed it. And it's okay if I'm 10% today because I'm a person,
Yeah.
right? Like let me just be real with myself. If you have the ability, not everybody does. I have a wonderful team at KC where if I'm like at a 10% day, I'm like, guys, I'm at a 10% today, just so you guys know. And they're very understanding. If you can create that rapport with your team, with your organization, that's great. But just give yourself, before anyone else, give yourself the grace. And back to the original question, that archive is really great to have when you're having a bad day. It's really great to say like, oh, I'm good at this.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks for answering all of the questions. Now we're part of the show where I'll ask you some quick rapid fire questions. Are you ready? So I'm gonna make you pick between your children. What is your favorite Kimberly-Clark brand to work on?
Oh, I know it's so hard, and when my people I work with see this, they're gonna be like, "Oh, Kim, I can't believe you said that." I'm going to say that it is Kleenex. And the
Really?
reason I'm going to say it's Kleenex is because it is a legacy brand with 100 plus years of history, and they're doing some really cool stuff that are bringing that brand forward to the future. And I'm just extremely excited for 26 and beyond, because I think some really cool stuff is going to come out. of the Kleenex brand. So
Very
sorry to be behind
relevant
this.
for me
I'm
right
a
now
sorry.
because of allergy season. So
Yep, you know what? Ultra like, you just get yourself some silky soft tissues. Kleenex brand tissues.
will do. And the next one is there a brand that you think is doing great work on social that you admire or that you're just you're lurking, you're like, oh, they're doing great work?
Yes, I have 2 actually. One that's, like, just fun for me, which is Monopoly Go.
Mm,
I just the Monopoly Man is just lore in my family of, like, we're just Monopoly people, so I just think seeing the Monopoly Man personified in all these memes in different situations, but they're also doing really interesting collabs that I think are social driven and just very smart, so the team over at Scopely is, like, crushing it over there, and secondarily, Vaseline. I'm obviously
mm,
in the CPG space. I think Vaseline has done a phenomenal job at driving relevancy with new generation of consumers as being a household name. One of those things where you think of petroleum jelly, you don't think petroleum jelly, you think Vaseline, right?
mhm.
I think they've done an incredible job with smart social partnerships, smart general partnerships, really interesting ways to engage with Gen Z and then the older Gen Alpha. And just really impressed with the way that they've galvanized their social presence after some lull and made themselves super relevant.
That's awesome. And then similarly, is there a creator that you think does a great job with partnerships with brands?
Yes, I think there's tons of creators that do great partnerships with brands, but off the top of my head, my favorite creator that does partnerships with brands is Jordan Howlett.
Mhm.
He's the everything guy. You know, the guy that comes in and he's got his phone in the mirror. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. They'll know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yes,
I
yes,
just think
I know
he's
him. I
just
love his videos.
yes,
Good
absolutely. I just
idea.
think the way that he does partnerships with brand are so authentic to him.
Mhm.
He's created such a format that is his format
Mm,
and he's beloved and his advice is so well loved because he is looking at a product from end to end. He's
yeah.
like rationalizing, is this real? And so when he partners with a brand, they know they're going to get scrutinized and he's going to say, is this real? And no ad or no partnership I've ever seen him do is outside of his style. He's
Yeah.
kept his creative direction the entire time and he's built an empire off of it. And I think it's a
Yeah.
big testament to all creators. Like if you build that secret sauce that is uniquely yours and then you protect that sauce, imagine what could come out of that, you know? Because I think he
Mhm.
does this fantastic job of balancing both, right? Great partnerships, but never losing who he is
He
as a creator.
he puts a lot of, very unique products out there that are actually useful, so so yeah,
Yeah,
he does a great job.
I know it's not just like you can tell he's not just trying to get a bag. Like he's
Yeah.
actually like, oh, this is interesting, and I want to give this to my audience because it's interesting, and it's got that stamp of approval on it too, because you know he's not just
Mhm.
like shilling you a product that's not going to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
So yeah, love the way that he does partnerships.
Yeah, well, Kim, thanks so much for joining us, and thank you for all the advice and answering all of our questions.
Of course. Thanks for having me and letting me yap at you for a few minutes. Thanks everyone for your questions. If you want to connect with me, you can find me at Kim Tipton, LinkedIn. My little LinkedIn tag is in/Kimberly D Tipton on LinkedIn. And yeah, thanks so much, Barbie. Thanks, Media Post.
Thank you to the audience for tuning in. If you have any questions or want to be featured yourself, contact me at barbie@mediapost.com. Take care.
Bye.